Good morning and welcome to today's pre-market video. Now, pre-market is the period before the market opens. In this case, I am referring to the Nigerian equities market. Trading starts at 10 a.m., closes at 2:20 p.m. West African time for the general market, and closes at 2:30 p.m. for the brokers. So the video goes up by 9:30, 30 minutes before market open. Essentially, it's just an avenue to share my thoughts on stocks that may be in play, stocks that are trending, and just generally how I think market sentiment would shape out. Before we get right into it, thank you to everyone who takes out the time to like, share, subscribe. A lot of people don't do so. So I'm wondering, why don't you like, share, and subscribe? I was looking at my analytics a couple of days ago, and a huge number of people don't do so. So please take out the time to like, share, and subscribe. If you find the content useful, please do so. If you don't find the content useful, I would be shocked, because financial markets in Nigeria is not enough simple content, and I dare say I'm doing a pretty decent job at it. But whichever way it is, if you take out the time to watch or spend your data is expensive in Nigeria. If you take out the time to spend your data on watching this video, please like, share, subscribe. It helps grow the channel. It helps everything. Growth means improvement, and the like. So watching it, commenting, liking, subscribing, sharing suggestions as well. It all helps in content being better. Please note that this is not trading or investment advice. This is not personal finance advice. A lot of people, I guess, are watching this for personal finance reasons, where to invest and all that. That's not the purpose of this channel. At best, you might say it's content is literacy, it's educational, but it's not for you to act on. In fact, a lot of times, a lot of the content I share here, I probably may not even act on it, because the stock in question may already be in play. That's the thing about markets. You position before the news. Once the stock becomes news, then a lot of the price, the momentum of possible upward or downward momentum has been built in it. So please do your own research in whatever you do. Criteria for my watch list: price and volume movement, meaning stocks go up and down. If it's a fairly significant movement up or down, then it comes on my radar. Corporate actions: essentially those are announcements by a firm. If it's something I think it's possibly market moving, then the stock has a spot on my radar. Learn Africa has a spot. First spot takes the first spot today. Why? It fell 10% yesterday. As a dividend qualification date is a couple of days away. If the stock continues to fall, then from a dividend yield perspective, it starts to look more attractive for short-term players. At the moment, dividend yield or potential dividend yield will be 4.9%. The company will be paying a 35 kobo dividend. So the stock closed, I think, at 7 naira and some fraction. If you divide that, and I wish I had the time, I probably just run through the numbers. But I did a video on the publishing space. I think, yeah, I did. I've done a couple of videos. I can't quite remember if I did a video on Learn Africa, but I did do a Spotify episode. So if you want to learn more about the firm and the other two players in that space, you can check out the video. But if you look at the dividend yield, which is divide the potential dividend by its current price, it's 4.9%. It's not bad. Yes, you can argue that, look, you can probably get 7, 8, 9, 10% from other stocks, but for a stock that is traded at 7 naira, 5% dividend yield, in essence, not bad. If the stock falls further, then the dividend yield starts to look interesting. I think for me, if dividend yield becomes 6, 7, 8%, that's good, because it then means that if the dividend remains constant, you can easily recover your earnings in probably 10, 12 years. That's a long time, but when I look at it, and probably I don't want to ramble and go into a rabbit hole, you go check out the Spotify episode. But this is why I'm looking at this stock. NCR, I think, led yesterday's gainers. It's been inching up a couple of days for now. It's an illiquid stock, trades barely 100 and something, 200 and something thousand shares a day. So like I said yesterday, chances of this stock falling sharply are quite low, because I mean, I think to me it's just people speculating. I seeing that the stock, well, is fairly illiquid, thin volume, so it's possible people, short-term players, may just want to jump in and jump out. MTN Nigeria closed flat, has been closing flat for last couple of days, because you need a single block trade of 100,000 shares for a stock to move up or down in terms of price. Why I have it here is I saw trades, I think, at 398 or 399. I'm not too sure. Someone commented on YouTube. Let me see if I can fish it out on my other device. I had asked. I did see trades. I can't pinpoint the exact. Okay, I've seen the comment in question. So someone bought. And shout out to Gladys. Gladys made a comment. Thank you for doing so. It makes it easier for me to go through your comment section and go type the price charts and all that. And so there were a couple of sub 400 trades and all that. I mean, 391, I saw 399, 398. I think that trend may continue. This stock seems to be facing some sell pressure. But as I explained a couple of days ago, and I will reiterate, I think for people who are savvy enough to navigate the markets, and you might look at it, this is a stock closing flat 435. If you get in at 391, and if by some chance you have momentum, which I think will happen maybe before the end of the year, you have some momentum that moves this stock to 450, back to 450, 470, 480, who knows, even the 500. That's a decent gain. So it's possible. Yes, those who are long-term players may be positioning, because as like I've said, and I think I've explained somewhere, if you check my Twitter handle, I've probably done a tweet or something. Go check the media. There's probably put my Excel sheet. I think this is a stock that in the next 2-3 years, if you model its earnings growth based on H1 numbers, if you model it, analyze it, assume it's going to do the same thing this year, do your a 10 or 15 or 20% earnings growth for the next 2-3 years, whichever way it is, you very likely will land at somewhere between 600 to 800 naira a share for this stock. Only factor that will hold it back is if you have a decline in the Nigerian macros. I don't see that happening, at least for this year. Next year, I don't know. Let's see where crude oil prices are. So I think this trend of closing flat at 435 but seeing trades at 390, 399, 400, 401 to maybe 45, 407, 410. I think that trend definitely is going to continue today. And today, by the way, is the last trading day for the week. Tomorrow, Friday, is a public holiday. So today is the last trading day for the week. Sovereign Trust Insurance, I'm expecting a dip in this stock because company sent in yesterday amendments to its annual general meeting notice. Annual general meeting holds once a year. That's essentially a meeting between shareholders and management. Now, as part of the agenda, and this was included in the amendment which was sent in yesterday, the company is going to be raising an additional 20 billion in capital. Now, most likely is going to be raising it as equity. So at 2 naira and I think 85 kobo, essentially 3 naira a share, that's an additional 6 billion shares or so. I think this firm has over 10 billion shares. I don't have the numbers in front of me. It's 10 or between 10 to 12 billion shares have been issued by this firm. So that tells you, look, you're probably having a 40 to 50% increase in the total number of shares that this company has and all that. So I expect in theory, you should have the price go down. In reality, it may or it may not go down. Nigerian Breweries and CAP is Chemical and Allied Product PLC. Nigerian Breweries, it's a brewer. So Nigerian Breweries is the firm behind Maltina. What else do they do again? Yeah, I think they do Feruz as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. Desperados and all that. So alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks. Stock fell. So MB, as it's known, fell 4 naira to close at 66. CAP dropped 5 naira 20 kobo to close at 65. CAP for me, I think it starts to look interesting at maybe 60. I've been in CAP for a couple of years, so it's highly unlikely that I'll be adding to my position at this point. But just from a fundamental basis, I think 55, 65, it starts to look interesting because, again, and I keep saying it, you take the earnings per share of this firm, do model a 10 to 20% growth, and then maybe use a 7 times price multiple, 8 times price multiple, you probably will get somewhere between, I think, maybe 70 to 80 or 90 naira. So I'm not sure if I've done that in a while, but who knows, maybe I might just play around and do it for the fun of it. I'm posted tomorrow. Tomorrow being a public holiday, I'll be taking out time to do some things different from the usual. So I'll be eyeing these two stocks. As I said, CAP at 60 starts to look interesting. I think CAP is probably cheapish at 60. Let me see if I can quickly pop in and let's just explain what I mean. What else? Again, any questions, drop the questions in the comment section, or you can send an email to info@greentickertales.com. What else is coming up on the channel today? 12:30 p.m. midday trading update on YouTube. At 6 p.m. West African time on YouTube and Spotify, daily market summary. 10 p.m. West African time, you have a Twitter summary or Twitter thread summarizing the markets as well. Try follow all. Yes, you may have your favorites. I get it. You can't be everywhere on social media, but do follow all, because if there is breaking news, the Twitter thread is probably quite fastest place and for me to update. Next to that probably would be the Spotify episode, which tends to go up around 6, but I try to record it 30 to 40 minutes before that time. So for more content, again, you can find the Spotify podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music. Links, all the links are in my bio on YouTube. There's a website, greentickertales.com. I think people forget there's actually a website, but there is a website, and I do tend to have content there. I'm just waiting for the market to close. I'm going to take my time and write some content on the insurance numbers. I'll do some writing on Regency Alliance numbers that have dropped so far, FY24, Q125, and the Universal Insurance H125 numbers are out. So I'm actually going to do a Spotify episode on all this Universal Insurance, Spotify write up, YouTube video should be up sometime tomorrow. I'm not decided when, either tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening. So thank you and have a great day ahead. Now, for those who take out the time to stay, at least that's the benefit of watching to the end of the video. Let me see if I can quickly do some napkin notes analysis for Chemical and Allied Products PLC. Close this. I'm a big fan of Tiana Taylor, so in case you're wondering who that is, she does, well, I say R&B music, yeah, and all that. But let's go to the markets and let's see if there's anything I need to know. Nothing much here. Let's go to CAP, Chemical and Allied Products. Yeah, that's the fastest document to open. So let's see what was H1 earnings per share. H1 earnings per share of 3 naira 11 kobo. So if you annualize it, meaning that an earnings per share is profit per share. If you, first 6 months of 2025, 3 naira 11 kobo in earnings, assume that the same performance is maintained. In fact, very likely it will be maintained, because you can see that Q2 earnings per share was 1 naira and 70 kobo. So if you assume that, look, you're going to have the same performance in the last 2 quarters of the year, that's 3 naira and 40 kobo in earnings. 3 naira 40 kobo plus 3 naira 11 kobo, that gives you 6 naira and I think 50 kobo. So now if you assume maybe a 10x multiple, that means that this stock should probably be trading at 65 naira. So even if you want to be conservative and say, okay, I'm going to use an 8x multiple, I think 8x is actually low. So if you use let's agree 9x multiple, 9x multiple as 6 naira 50 kobo multiplied by 9, what does that give you? I think it should give you almost 15 naira. 6.5 multiplied by 9, that's what, 58 naira and 5 kobo, essentially 60 naira. Now if you then say, look, I mean, you can see year on year growth in earnings is 41%, but let's assume that steady run rate is going to be 20%. So earnings per share, let's see if I have what's it called, I think I should have let's see, I did this earlier in the year, but let me see if I can fish it out. Cap, I can't quite find it. I can't find it, but I think I did a video on cap. If I didn't do a video, then maybe, that's what it is, but you get the drift. You model what 6 naira 50 kobo in any share FY25 estimate. Model a what maybe 15% growth. 3 years time you have a 45% growth. So 3 years time you'd have earnings per share at what? What's that? Maybe 9 naira. Use it 8 or 9x multiple. That's 81 naira in 3 4 years. So you get the drift. Thank you all for joining. I see you at midday.